So I think a love story is really the journey of developing a deep and loving and committed relationship, whether it's to a life partner, a sister, a best friend, or in my case, myself.
Welcome to Carrie On, the show where we explore reinvention, self-discovery, and empowerment before, during, and after midlife. I'm your host, Carrie Murray. It's time to keep our head above the chaos and carry on. There have been several pivotal moments in my life where I wish that I could just a glimpse of how the other side of the fork in the road would look. 5, 10, even 50 years down the line, you make your choices, or sometimes they're made for you, but you gotta wonder what the other side would have looked like a real life version of that Gwyneth Paltrow movie. What was it called? Sliding Doors. My guest made one of the most complex and difficult decisions of her life. Katherine Woller called off her wedding just 2 weeks before the big day and walked away from the future that society expected of her. She said the voice inside her knew it just wasn't right, and for once, she listened. That choice unraveled everything she thought her life would look like and allowed her to rebuild on far more honest and aligned ground. Now she's a best-selling author, a mom, and a storyteller. Calling It Off, Memoir of an Almost Bride invites readers to trust their intuition and choose themselves. Welcome, Katherine.
Thank you.
I'm
Happy
so
to
glad
be
you're here. Yeah, so I'm just going to get right to it.
Okay.
Did you keep the ring?
I did.
Nice.
I kept the ring because we had purchased it partially together. And so I felt like a really fair solution was to pay him for what he had spent and keep it as a beautiful memory of our relationship, though I do not wear it as that ring, and I'll probably make a necklace one day.
I was going to say, let's get some nice little earrings.
Yes.
A little,
I think a pendant.
A pendant, yeah.
But yes, I did.
That's already the best choice.
Perhaps unpopular opinion, but
yeah, I'm sure a lot of people had an opinion about that.
They did.
The ring and what you should do with it. And girl, I would have kept it.
One of many things people had an opinion on. But,
and then the other thing is, as I was reading the book, and it's really fantastic. You're a great storyteller. It's actually really riveting because you start with, I called off my wedding, and then we get to hear the story. Is what did you do with the dress?
Well, I had multiple dresses. So
a sign that you probably weren't ready to get married.
There's so much performance involved with it. The dress I was set to walk down in the aisle in, I kept for a long time. I kept it in storage. I think was scared of it. It had so much meaning and power wrapped up in that era. But I finally, recently, maybe a year ago, unboxed it and looked at it for the first time ever in its final form. And I'm not ready to part with it. It is, I need to find a way to sell it. I offered it to a family friend who's getting married. It is tailored exactly to me, so it's a little tough, but she's going to go. And then the reception dress, I love. So I'm keeping and may wear it one day.
I say go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Why
now,
not?
In the story, you call... this is a journey. The story, the book is a love story for yourself, and I love, what does that mean to you when you say the wedding sparked your own love story? The calling off your wedding sparked this love story. Tell me more about that.
So I think a love story is really the journey of developing a deep and loving and committed relationship, whether it's to a life partner, a sister, a best friend, or in my case, myself. I had not developed that relationship to self, which is part of why I got so far down the line in a life that wasn't eventually going to be meant for me. And so by making this huge choice, it was kind of the start of that story and rediscovery, learning to trust myself, learning to know myself and who I really am. And then, ultimately led to a really beautiful love story for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what does choosing yourself look like in real life? What did that physically or metaphorically look like?
I mean, the biggest example of that is the decision to call off the wedding. It was not popular. It was filled with heartache for a lot of people, myself included. But it's something that I knew, in the depths of my soul, I knew that it was the right choice. And so by choosing that above the hurt, above the guilt, the shame, the finances put into this wedding. By choosing myself, it was that first step. And then I repeatedly had to do that over and over again. I had to have really kind but firm boundaries with friends and family. I had to prioritize my own needs in ways that wasn't always the easiest. And then as I re-entered the dating world after that, which I do go into in the book, I had to walk away from 3 more relationships in pretty quick succession because something again wasn't aligned, something again wasn't going to be true to me. And so I repeatedly had to make that same choice over and over again and kind of,
to choose
forevermore.
Yourself. Yeah. And I know when a breakup happens, there's friends on both sides. So calling, obviously breaking up with Mr. X is how he's referred to in the book. Were you friends with his friends? Did you have to also break up with them? Did he get them? Or did some of them stay? Like, that's always hard to navigate.
So I think the friend breakups are something people don't always think about, because you think a relationship ends and it's just that couple, but it's a whole community you've created, not just their family. But yeah, we had individual friends that remained our individual friends, but we had been together for many years. In downtown Denver, there was a whole group of couple friends. And I think I probably lost more friendships than I needed to. I think the majority of what happened was I was pretty ashamed at all that was happening, and I hated that I hurt people. And so I pushed people away, even some of the girlfriends that, really were committed to staying and checking in. So a lot of relationships had to let go, but some have stayed and some have actually come back around in the last few years. And it's been really incredible to see that love exists, and there was grace for that time. Yeah. So yes, I lost many, but I kept more than I thought I would.
Yeah. Well, that's another example of choosing yourself, is choosing the people you surround yourself with, right? So some people, many people, would be concerned that hurting someone else's feelings or even being seen as mean or not polite would keep you in a bad situation. So what do you think is more important, choosing yourself or being polite?
Oh, choosing yourself is number one most important. I think you can be kind when making that decision. I think when it's done with a pure heart and a kind intention and a deep love for everyone involved, that's not mean. It might cause heartache, it might cause grief, but it really is the kindest thing to be true to that, because otherwise you end up in a situation 3 years down the line, 6 months down the line, where both people are phenomenally unhappy and should have just broke it off in the beginning, right? So, I always try to be kind, but at the end of the day, I do think it's worth it to stay true to yourself and be, a little impolite in the process.
And I think, it's interesting because we kind of think about what will everybody think? So were you in a phase when you knew this wasn't going to work out? You knew would you say you delayed your breakup even more because you were worried about what's everybody going to think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
1,000%. I grew up in Oklahoma. There's a lot of talk of small towns. I'm from Oklahoma City, not that small, but people know what's happening in your life. People talk about it. There's social media now, which is a whole other topic of what you've put out into the world. And I was terrified. I was so embarrassed. I felt so guilty. I ignored so much along the way. And then at the end of the day, I had to come out and say, that was all a facade in some way. I performed, I was pretending to be happy. And then I had to disappoint people and essentially say, I lied. And this is really what I need and what I want. And so, I was incredibly worried.
Okay, so I'm going to get into your therapist. Okay. Because one of your chapters is all about therapy. I'm also a big advocate for therapy. And one of the things you said, which I actually thought was really funny, is I just lied to my therapist. Yeah. Yep. So how long do you think she was on to you though? Or do you think I freaking flat out lied to my therapist right now?
I think she was on to me. By not telling her how I was really feeling and all the doubts I was having, that is lying, lie of omission, but still, your therapist can't help you if you're not honest. You can't talk about things that you're not willing to admit. I wasn't willing to admit so many of those doubts in the beginning, so I was lying to her and myself. But when I finally came to it and and told her I was having doubts, I mean, her face gave it all away.
Yeah.
She knew what was happening
Yeah.
long before I was able to express it.
She wasn't like, what, Catherine?
No shock and awe.
Your therapist asked you a fascinating question, and I love this in the book, and it was this. If you had to decide today, what percentage of you would get married? So when she gave you that question, how did it help cut through the noise in your head and in your heart?
I mean, it was everything, to be honest. So when you're going through a big life change, as we've all been through, there is just a slurry of emotions that I think are really hard to weigh, to quantify, to sort through. And so I needed a way to make them real. And by asking me a question that had a numerical component to it, like a real concrete value. First, it let me like push away everybody else's thoughts and get to the root of what I was thinking and feeling and make a concrete choice just to practice. Just to practice making a decision one way or the other, because I was paralyzed by the emotions of it all. I couldn't make left from right, up from down. I needed to make some small choice in any way, shape, or form, but I didn't want to be committed to it. So it let me try it on, practice, see how I felt in imagining this life where I did walk away, see how I felt on days when I was 90% get married. I mean, I could have those data points to reflect back on and think, what's making me feel true? What's making me feel like this is the life for me? And it is a question I still use constantly because it does. It cuts through the emotion, it cuts through the noise and lets you make a small choice that then you can then react to.
Yeah. I think it's a really powerful question you can use in other areas. Do you find that percentage question, what percentage of me would do this today? Do you still find yourself applying it to other areas? What's some like examples of that?
I mean, I think it can be big or small. Something as big as, do we want to have kids? I think that's a really big question that it can be applied to. I think also things like, do I want to go to this friend's birthday party?
Yeah.
Like, is that feeling like it's going to fill my cup today? I think either way, you can ask that small forced choice decision, and it's amazing what you'll find yourself answering. I think the key is you come up with an answer sometimes that you're shocked by, and it really illuminates like how you're really feeling. So across the board, I use it all the time.
When you were seeing your therapist during this time, did you ever come in and say 0%? Did you? No. What was the lowest percentage you were, if you had to marry him today, what percentage of you, what's the lowest you got, you think?
The lowest I got, I think, was 10% get married, which is pretty uncertain. But it's such a big choice. I wanted to be more clear. And yet I never got to 100% clarity until the day I actually made that choice during my last wedding dress fitting, as it were. That was the first time that I really, I think, opened up and listened to everything that my body and my intuition had been telling me. And that was finally 100%.
Yeah. Did you feel that struggle with your intuition this whole time? You felt that? God, that's a lot, Catherine.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was heavy.
Ooh. I asked you that one. Okay. Next question. As women, society has often taught us our instincts, to not necessarily trust our instincts, to ignore them. We're being dramatic. The whole thing. But how has following your intuition changed the view of yourself? I'm going to ask you that first, and then I'm going to ask you about your daughter. So how is following that intuition now? You probably really touched into it now.
Yeah.
How has it changed your decision and kind of gone against what society says? Sit down, be quiet, don't be loud.
I mean, it is hard. It was hard to make a choice that was unpopular, against the grain, and yet so needed for me in my life. That being said, when I have now this big example of when I listened to my intuition and not only survived it and got through it, but really became the best version of me on the other side, like what an amazing piece of evidence that I can look back on and say, no, life works out when I trust myself. So I think the whole process of this, and then since then, I am so much more intentional about doing that on purpose, about doing that from the beginning, in the big decisions, in the small decisions. And it's just changed my self and my persona and my life as a woman, as a mom, as a wife. I mean, that trust of self is so important to me. And it is what I make or try to make all of my decisions from moving forward.
Yeah. We should have spoiler. She finds love.
Yeah. Sorry.
Spoiler alert. Friends, it's Carrie Murray. And if giving a TEDx talk is on your vision board, this is for you. Ready for TED is an 8-week program led by my friend Tony Purry, PR exec, media trainer, TEDx speaker herself, and a fabulous guest on Carrie On. This guided experience is built just for women ready to clarify their message and craft a signature talk and share their big idea. Whether you're an expert, founder, or change maker, you'll expand your influence, raise awareness, and gain unshakable credibility when you hit the red circle. I know firsthand Tony supports women and has made progress, and it is remarkable. Apply now for readyforted.com and let Tony be your guide to the global stage. For women who want more than just a getaway, Two Peacocks Travel offers transformative journeys that blend adventure, connection, and empowerment. Imagine wandering the colorful streets of Morocco with new friends, sharing stories over a meal in Peru, or conquering a new challenge with the encouragement of a supportive travel group. These experiences aren't just about places. They're about people, growth, and creating traditions that extend beyond the trip. It's time to travel with purpose and find your travel bestie and make an unforgettable memories. Join the movement at twopeacockstravel.com. Now, I'm not sure how you mentioned your mom a little bit, but, now that you're looking at your daughter and you're like, oh, don't, how can what kind of, do you feel yourself like already inserting like, okay, don't say that? Because I know I did that with my daughter. I was like, don't be encouraging and be, but then still trust your gut, trust your instinct and everything. How are you hoping to encourage that in your daughter?
Well, I hope it's her legacy as much as it is mine, right? Like the book is dedicated to her. It's something I'm really committed to sharing this story to help other women, to help daughters, to help my daughter. I think I'm trying to be really intentional about, fostering her independence and her creativity. She's fiery, so like she's on her way. But I really hope that by modeling that and one day having her read this or listen to the audiobook, I just hope that one day she can look at this story and be really proud.
Yes.
And, I'll get a little emotional, but I hope that it's her legacy too.
I think a lot of times, I know for me, like trusting my intuition, I wish it was just faster. Like, sometimes when you're listening to your intuition or what your gut says, it doesn't have an answer right away. It's so frustrating.
Yes, it is.
It'd be great if it was just like, yes, go left, Carrie, or yes, do that. But you have to be patient.
Yeah, you do. And I think it's a peaceful feeling. I think it's hard to tell the difference between programming and intuition sometimes. And I think when it's programming, it can feel very time-bound and it can feel full of pressure and like you have to make something really quick. But I think when the intuition comes through, I think there's a peace to it and there's a groundedness to it. And I don't always think it's immediate, but I think we have to sit in it. And I think we can tell the difference between the two. And so that's what I try to do is when I'm, conflicted, just give it a pause and wait for that more peaceful feeling to come through.
Truly. And I know there's a lot of, especially on social media, a lot of expectations for women to have this marriage and this beautiful wedding and it's Instagrammable and I did the Pinterest and all the things, right? So how would you recommend someone who's kind of feeling on the fence about it to ask them that what percentage question? What would you say to that woman right now who's kind of like watching this and is kind of like, this kind of makes sense? Well, first buy the book.
Yes, absolutely buy the book.
Yes. What would you say to her?
I think the what percentage question is a great one. I also think it's really important to tune into what the body's feeling. So for me, during this whole process, I had physical manifestations of the lack of alignment, of the anxiety, of the weight of this.
Like what? What's an example?
Like headaches, anxiety, sleeplessness for weeks. I mean, racing heart, just a feeling of contraction and a burden that when I ultimately made the decision, a lot of that lifted. I could sleep, things got different. And I think I had never really paid attention to that pattern until this season. But now I can look and see when I'm feeling that way, like what is out of alignment? What am I feeling about this choice? And so I think when we can tune in and really get familiar with how our body's feeling through small and big life choices, you can trust yourself a little bit more. I think you got to learn to have that deep relationship, to have that love story with self so that you can trust your ability to trust your intuition, because people will tell you not to.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like we're fed it all the time. I feel like we're constantly, and I have a daughter too. So it's like, is she constantly being told you have to be thinner, be faster, be smarter, and all these, even though we have all these open conversations and everything. And I think it is that an doctrine of that makes them doubt their intuition, especially when you're a teenager.
Oh,
right?
It's so hard.
Yeah. I mean, you have a toddler. They're so confident.
Yes,
and
they are.
so like, obviously I'm here. So it's hard to see that dwindle and fade as they get older. You'll see it. But just, I know for me, I've just really reiterated to trust your gut, trust your instinct and everything. And even if it's just like, no, but my friends are saying this. I always told my daughter, tell your daughter this, blame me. Say you have a mean mommy.
Yeah.
My mommy won't let me.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So is there anything else you're breaking up with this year? Is there anything else you're like, I'm so done with this? Are we done with diapers? Or are we still potty training? Where are we at with
We're
that
starting potty training.
Okay. So you're not breaking up with diapers just yet.
I'm ready to break up with diapers.
Gotcha.
I think maybe. I go back and forth. I might be breaking up with some social media platforms.
Not a bad idea.
No, I'm definitely breaking up with the pressure around it, though. As a writer, I need to share what's going on, and I need to share what's happening. And I want to. I want to do that. I also love sharing about my family because, my family and friends want to see our life and our daughter. However, I want it to come from a really pure and authentic place. And so when that's pulling time away, I am breaking up with the feeling of obligation, of needing to putting the content out there versus this has made me really happy and I just want to share it. So I'm breaking up with the pressure of that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, as the book begins, and you do eventually find true love.
I do.
So can you tell us just a little bit? Don't give it to, I want everybody to read it in the book.
Yeah.
But how soon after did you open up your heart and decide, okay, I think I'm ready for love again?
Yeah. So I, too soon after, started dating again. And it was really interesting. And I'm actually glad I did, because I think each person that I dated was wonderful, but had some element of something I had purposely walked away from already. And so it was a great test to remind me of like, wait, don't fall for this again. Like, don't do this again. And so I started too early, but I'm glad I did. And I really got to get super clear really quickly on what it is I finally did want. And so about, I think 5 months to the day after I was supposed to get married was the night I met my now husband. So relatively quickly, but we did a lot of heavy processing in those 5 months.
Yeah, I bet.
So there was a lot of
I'm coming in a hot mess, just so you know.
I told him the very first night we met that this had happened and I was going to write a book about it. So he went in eyes wide open, knowing exactly what he was getting. And thankfully, I think that worked to our advantage.
Obviously. Yeah. And my last question, what do you still think about June 15th? Do you still have feelings around that date? Because dates can be really impactful. Like, especially if a Mother's Day and you maybe lost your mother or something like that. You feel that date coming. How are you feeling around that date now?
In the beginning, it was incredibly heavy. It was supposed to be the beginning of a life that never happened.
Yeah.
Right? And that, whether it's what I wanted or not, it was what I wanted. There's heaviness to it. I think now it's more of a date like any other. I notice it when someone mentions it to me now. I'm not the first one to think, oh, June 15th, this would have been my wedding day, because I have an actual anniversary now, which is nice. But people do still mention it to me sometimes, which I find intriguing. It's been 6 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still feelings there, and wonderfully, I think Mr. X and I have both found happiness and peace. And so knowing that, it's it's a great salve to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Do you guys follow each other on Instagram?
We do not.
Oh, okay, good choice.
We have similar friends.
Oh, you still have friends in common?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what are you going to do?
Well wishes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Trust your gut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you met the new mans. You go to your therapist and you're like, I met a new man. When was the first time you're like, if she asks me the question, I'm going to say 100%. How quickly did you were like, I'm ready. Ask me the question, what percentage would you get married today if he asked?
I mean, it was alarmingly quick. We
That's
met.
how it should be.
Yeah, we met and we had both done so much work on our own selves that we were both coming from a really true and honest place. And I knew what I wanted. He knew what he wanted. We showed up at the right time in each other's lives. So it was really easy to see that it was going to be a true partnership and an incredible one-day marriage. We moved in together just a few months after we met. We then moved abroad while we were still dating, which was a huge leap of faith, but it was a crucible for our relationship and came through it best friends with flying colors. And so ultimately, yeah, it was pretty early on that it was 100%. Let's do this.
I think that says a lot about love, right? That's how it should feel. It should feel like, oh, I've known this person forever, even though it's only been 3 months and time just kind of doesn't exist. And then gearing up to this wedding, did you get a lot of those like, oh, second wedding. Oh, is she going to run away this time? Or were people like, no, this is the one. We're supporting you. We got you.
I think it depends on who it was. Yes, of course. There were runaway bride jokes, which I take with grace because I get where it's coming from. I also think people that knew us and saw our partnership had no doubts. I think it was really evident. We actually didn't get married until almost 3 months after we met and 3 months of dating. And so while we knew early on, we also took the time to make sure of it. And to really build this incredible foundation that meant we were going to have a great marriage. And so the wedding was very different. First wedding was supposed to be huge and over the top, and it was a Band-Aid. And then my wedding to my husband was very small on a ranch. It was stunning. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was still beautiful, but it was really focused on our love and us as a couple and our families joining together. So it just felt so different. I felt different.
Yeah. And your gut probably was just like, this is exactly where you're supposed to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even when it dumped snow on our wedding day.
Did it really?
It did.
Oh.
It did. It was the first snow of the season, but we took it as a good omen.
I agree.
And no stress. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And everybody looks good in white. I mean, it reflects. Everybody looks younger. So the snow actually brings a great blanket. I love
Soft
that.
focus.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Now, I want to go back to when you were choosing yourself and you were kind of like struggling with, what did I do? What did you use to kind of like get yourself through it? Did you use humor? Did you travel? Did you learn to bake? Did you adopt a dog? Like, what did you do to kind of get yourself on the other side of that pain, really?
I think there's two pieces. One was movement. I'm a mover. It's how I process. I am crazy if I don't. And so during this season, I had to move and like literally move the emotions. But the other piece that was kind of a new surprise for me was writing. I mean, it literally saved me. There were so many thoughts and feelings and doubts and worries and second guesses that I needed to just put on a page and sift through and take the weight off. And I really believe that storytelling can change lives. And that comes from your own storytelling too. Like my ability to get that out and then reflect on it from a place beyond just pure emotion. That's what helped me rebuild. That's how I knew what I was feeling and thinking and could trust myself. And so for me, writing, even terrible writing, was really what brought me back to knowing myself.
Yeah. Are you a natural writer? Did you always want to be a writer? Yeah.
Yes. I love writing. I've always been a writer. I never thought I had an ability to have a career in that. As we're growing up, we're not told that the creative pursuits are going to work for you. And so it was kind of a secret passion for a really long time. And then this happened and I finally had a story that I thought was important to share with the world. And so I took the leap to put myself out there, both with the story and as a writer.
Yeah, I think it really gives women permission to choose themselves. And that seems to be a common theme, in our talk here, but also you use humor to tell it so that it makes you feel a little bit reassured, like, oh, I'm feeling this way too. And so I love that. Is there another book in there? What are we calling in?
Oh my
Instead
goodness.
of calling it off, what are we calling in?
There's probably another book in there. I write a lot now about my life now, which is early days of motherhood, which is a more mature relationship, still working on the relationship to self. I mean, that's ever evolving. I'm not sure what next one will be because I want there to be a real purpose and a real need for that conversation. And so when I find it, that's when we'll get number 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, until then, I would love everyone to head over to their local bookstore, maybe a Barnes & Noble, and pick up a copy of Calling It Off. You can go to Amazon, but why? Thank you so much, Katherine, for being here. I've learned a lot, especially about trusting my gut and my intuition, but also like, how do I approach my daughter when she's, going through it? And I know your mom was a support for you. So thank you so much. It was such a great book. I really hope anyone who's kind of doubting what their decisions are, read this book. It'll really help you hone in on that intuition. Until then, please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, keep your head above the chaos and carry on. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Carrie On. Be sure to find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And as always, like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And don't forget to keep your head above the chaos and carry on.